Hey, having some technical difficulties. I apologize. Welcome to the Bald Eagle Podcast. I am Shawn Cressman. I am the Bald Eagle. As I was saying, the Bald Eagle Podcast is part of Philly Sports Alliance. Philly Sports Alliance has an official sponsor, and that is La Terrain Watches. Go to La Terrain Watches, check out their assortment of watches and other things that they sell, and put in PSA in the coupon code, and you will get a discount, which will make the already affordable items that they sell even more affordable. Let me wave to some people here on Instagram. Okay, so I was mentioning the Bald Eagle Podcast. I have 3 rules here at the Bald Eagle Podcast. Very simple, but important to me. Rule number 1, most important rule, no politics. So you're not going to have to worry about me saying anything political. I don't. On this show, we don't lean any direction. We don't talk about it. This is supposed to be an escape, and it is very much for me an escape from politics, because I don't want to hear anything about what's happening in regard to any of that stuff. So you'll never hear it on here. So this is a nice little escape for you as well from politics. Number 2, I don't talk about any personal information. I don't talk about my personal life, and I won't talk about the players. And another thing I don't do is I don't have segments that are non-football related. And I'll tell you why I bring this up. A few days ago, I was watching, Good Morning Football on, I guess it's the NFL Network. And it was like a good hour and a half show. 20 minutes of those, they discussed whether or not it's okay for anyone other than Russell Wilson to say, "Let's ride," which is a slogan that apparently he's been saying a lot, which has no bearing on anything to do with football. And then another thing, then they spent another about 10 minutes talking about some of their favorite TV characters and which NFL player was most like that TV character. Maybe you guys like that kind of stuff, but I don't. I have no interest in any of that. So you won't hear that kind of shit here either. And lastly, which you may have just heard, I am uncensored. So I don't talk about anything. All right. Let me get some comments here. I'm not sure if this is actually my, which relative this is of mine, or if it's her child, but how you doing, Isis, or somebody else? Okay. So I'm not censored. That was the last one. All right. So now the Bald Eagle Podcast, if you're not aware, the Bald Eagle Podcast is home of the most in-depth play-by-play analysis for regular season and postseason games. And when I say in-depth play-by-play, it's Ivan. How you doing, Ivan? I will go after the game. I spend hours reviewing the all 22, the tackle box views, and sometimes the broadcast view if that's the best one available. And I break down each play. Now, I'm not going to go over routine running plays or plays that don't really have any impact, but I'm going to highlight every meaningful play. I'll go through every play, but I'll highlight every meaningful play, and I'll tell you what happened. I'm going to break it down exactly what happened. I'll tell you what coverage they were in, who did what they were supposed to do, who didn't do what they were supposed to do. And you'll find that oftentimes the actual play of the players might be different than statistics. A lot of people complained about Jalen Hurts and his winning record when he the first 6 games that he played against to replace Carson Wentz. The win-loss percentage really didn't have a lot to do with his progression as a quarterback. So just an example of some of the things you'll hear there. Now, I mentioned earlier that we are, the Philly Sports Alliance is the network or the group of channels that I'm on. Philly Sports Alliance has partnered with a thing called Philly Sports Trips. So Philly Sports Trips is a company that takes trips to, I don't know if it's just sports. I'll be honest with you. I didn't look really far into it. I just know that we've partnered with them to take a trip down to DC for week 3 at Washington. So go to phillysportstrip.com, look for that game, sign up. And if you write in that you heard about this through PSA, and that way we can all get on one bus. So PSA stands for Philly Sports Alliance. So go on to phillysportstrips.com, sign up for the bus trip to DC for week 3. And it isn't just a trip and tickets. You get the ride down. You get tickets, decent tickets. There's food there, so there's tailgating, and I feel like there's perhaps some legacy Eagles that might be joining too. All right, let's get to our countdown. Real exciting. We're getting very close, guys. Very, very close. By the way, Ivan, I'm not going to post your last comment. I would never post a comment that celebrates another team. He's a fan of one of our NFC East rivals. So countdown, 2 days until our first preseason game. That is week 1 preseason for us. That's this Friday, the 12th, against the Jets at home at 7:30 p.m. Then we have a joint practice with the Browns. That's August 18th and 19th in Berea, Ohio. Right before our game, which is week 2, Sunday, August 21st at Cleveland, 1 p.m. And that is our one and only game that's shown on NFL Network. Then on August 24th to 25th, we have a joint practice with the Dolphins at their practice facility in Miami Gardens, Florida. And then week 3 is Saturday, August 27th at Miami at 7 p.m. Now, we only have one preseason game aired live on NFL Network. That's the game against Cleveland. But all our other games will be aired on NBC 10 and 94 WIP. So you'll be able to watch them there. Regular season NFL official kickoff of the 2022 season is Thursday, September 8th, Buffalo at the Rams, 8:20 p.m. For us, it's week 1 at Detroit, Sunday, November 11th, 1 p.m. Our home opener is week 2, Monday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings at September 19th, 8:30 p.m. Week 3, we're at Washington. That's Sunday, September 25th, 1 p.m. Week 4, at home against Jacksonville, Sunday, October 2nd, 1 p.m. Week 5 at Arizona, Sunday, October 9th, 4:25 p.m. Week 6, Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowgirls, October 16th, 8:20 p.m. Week 7, early bye. Week 8 at home against Pittsburgh, that's Sunday, October 30th, 1 p.m. Week 9 at Houston, Thursday Night Football, November 3rd, 8:15 p.m. Week 10 at home against Washington, Monday Night Football, November 14th, 8:15 p.m. Going to be a really good game to see Carson Wentz come in. Hopefully he's still healthy, because I'd really like to play against him. Week 11 at Indianapolis, Sunday, November 20th, 1 p.m. Week 12, Green Bay at home, Sunday Night Football, November 27th. Week 13 at home against Tennessee, Sunday, December 4th, 1 p.m. Week 14 at the Giants, Sunday, December 11th, 1 p.m. Week 15 at Chicago, Sunday, December 18th, 1 p.m. All right, that one I'll put up there, Ivan. Boo Cowgirls. Good job. Where was I? Week 16 at the Cowgirls, Saturday, December 24th, Christmas Eve, 4:25 p.m. Week 17 at home against the Saints, Sunday, January 1st, New Year's Day, 1 p.m. And we end the season week 18 against the Giants. It's either the 8th or 7th of January. Time is to be determined. So this is the third year that we opened the season away. Longest streak since 2011, 2013. We have no back-to-back away games until week 13. We close out the season with 2 home games. This is our earliest bye. I mentioned that week 7 bye, not a fan. But it's the earliest we've had since 2016, when we had a week 4 bye, which would have been even worse. Not a significant difference between the Giants and the Cowgirls having their bye week on week 9, and Washington has a bye week on week 14. We're one of 13 teams that have a total of 5 primetime games this year, which is the most in the league. And that's the most we've had since 2018. Now, since 2000, we've had the second most primetime games in the NFL. Unfortunately, number 1 is the Dallas Cowgirls. So, Ivan, I think we're going to bring up your your comment there again. Boo Cowgirls, right? Strength of schedule. The whole NFC East has the bottom 4 strength of schedule, which means that we are playing. If you take the opponents and you average their win percentage last year, we have the easiest schedule. The easiest schedules. We're actually third easiest at 0.464. The Dallas and Washington are tied for the easiest at 0.462, and the Giants are 4th easiest at 0.465. The Rams have the hardest at 0.567. And then the season ends Sunday, February 12th, 2023, Super Bowl 57, State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. All right, now we're going to get to the draft recap. And before you say it, or before you think it, right, you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute. I've watched a couple of these Bald Eagle podcasts, and he's always talking about the schedule and the draft picks. And you're right, I do. I have a horrible memory. I can't remember very much at all. Sometimes I'll be thinking, I know most of the team. I won't admit that I'll know all of them with all the extra guys we have now. on the team. But I may not even think of some of our most popular players' names because my memory is so horrible. So I keep repeating these things just to keep them in my memory. So we're going to go through our draft picks. First round, 13th overall, defensive tackle Jordan Davis. We've heard a lot about him in camp. He is a monster who's also fast. Faster than the three NFC East opposing quarterbacks. Technically, with the exception of Carson Wentz, who I think Carson Wentz ran a 4.77, and I think that Jordan Davis ran like a 4.78, so slightly slower. However, Carson Wentz is older and has had a few injuries, so I'm sure he's not running the same 40 as he did in his combine. So we traded our 18th and 101st overall to Tennessee for wide receiver A.J. Brown. I'm going to keep saying that too because that's amazing. One of the best trades we've had in a long time. We needed a big physical wide receiver, and we got him. And it's actually showing up in practice. He's been outmaneuvering the corners. He's been doing a great job getting physical and going up and grabbing the ball. Second round, 51st overall, Cam Jurgens, center from Nebraska. Third round, 83rd overall, linebacker Nakobe Dean from Georgia. Sixth round, 181st overall, linebacker Kyron Johnson from Kansas. Sixth round, 198th overall, tight end Grant Calcaterra from SMU. And then we had a couple of undrafted rookie free agent signings. And a lot of them are still on the team. We haven't cut any of them. Well, we cut one. We already talked about that. But so far, the ones that are still on the team are Josh Blackwell, a corner from Duke. Reed Blankenship, a safety from Middle Tennessee State. Kennedy Brooks, running back from Oklahoma, who's had a pretty good camp. Britton Covey, wide receiver from Utah. Also, I've heard his name a couple of times. He's doing well. William Dunkel, offensive line from San Diego State. Ali Fayad, linebacker from Western Michigan. Mario Goodrich, corner from Clemson. Josh Jobe, corner from Alabama. Josh Sills, offensive lineman from Oklahoma State. Carson Strong, quarterback from Nevada. Early indication that he would have a good chance of making third string, but from what I hear, Sinnott is playing pretty well. And then Carrick Wheatfall, wide receiver from Fresno State, the only guy that came to our mini camp tryouts and was signed. All right, let's get to some Eagles news, most of which is information or notes about our training camp. So through 7 practices, so it doesn't include yesterday or today, I believe. Jalen Hurts currently is 79 for 114, so he attempted 114 passes, completed 79 of them, and that is a 69.3% completion percentage. He's thrown 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and that was 163 reps. This time last year, he was 86 completions, 118 attempts for 72.9 completed, so almost 3% better. 9 touchdowns and 3 picks in 180 reps. So, I don't know how much that really means. I've never actually tracked. This is the first year that I've tracked somebody's stats that closely in preseason, so I don't know how it will translate into the game. I mean, frankly, those numbers are pretty good. Of course, they will be in training camp, right? But those did not translate very well into regular season last year. So, James Bradbury having a great camp. And he said he loves the Eagles' multiple defenses, a lot of looks that confuse the quarterback, and he thinks that disguising the defenses makes it harder for the quarterbacks in our camp and helps them improve. We add a little depth at tight end, something we're a little bit light on. Richard Rodgers passed his physical and will soon be on the field for his 5th season with the Eagles. I mentioned last week that Hassan Reddick had gained around 12 pounds this offseason. He was 235 last year, and he came into camp at 247. After seeing all the pictures of him, it looks like it was all muscle. So this guy was working over the offseason. So look for him to be possibly quicker with all that additional muscle, but definitely stronger. Let's change the banner here. What are we going to do? 6 packs coverage. Another one of our partners. Jalen Reagor apparently has been improving. We talked last week about one of his better plays against the second string defense, but I heard that he's improving, doing a little bit better. And there is rumors, and I would love for this to happen because I don't want him, that Denver might be interested in a trade. That would be amazing. Whatever we get would be worth it. If Denver makes an offer, I implore Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia organization to accept. I mean, you can negotiate, right, if you think you can get a little bit more, but get rid of Jalen Reagor. Honestly, not just because he's had a poor performance in clinched, lost games almost for us, and not just because it's been a couple of years in a row. I just don't like his attitude. One of the longtime Eagles journalists, John Clark, tweeted that he had a rough practice, and instead of accepting that and saying, you know what, he's right, I'm working, I'm I'm trying to get better, he called him a liar. And I would just think that's really classless. I mean, why even get in a war on Twitter anyway? I feel like that's kind of maybe I'm too old for that shit, but I just don't think that's nice. So anyway, I'm ready for him to get out of here, and if we can get anything for him, I'll be ecstatic. I've heard a lot of good news about Avonte Maddox, who has been mediocre in the past. He's been doing well in coverage. He's had numerous pass breakups, and not just that, he's been doing a good job sniffing out screens and helping to stop the run. So stringing out some of those runs to push him over the sideline. So hopefully he's doing well, and that carries on through the regular season. Lane Johnson, one of the best, says he's having a good camp, feels like he's at his best. Some of the journalists have commented that they haven't seen him lose in one-on-ones or even in 11-on-11. So Lane Johnson doing really well. Now, hopefully you guys, and most likely you probably did, you guys were able to get to the public practice on Sunday. A lot of fun. Now, they generally have 2 open practices. They only had 1 this year. Maybe that's why there was almost 30,000 people at this one. I don't know. Maybe it's because of all the new guys we got. There was a lot of applause for A.J. Brown, a lot of applause for James Bradberry. I think Jordan Davis got a nice applause. So I think it's a combination possibly of only having 1 open practice in the whole preseason, which is kind of shitty when you think about it, when there's training camps out there that are open, 3 or 4 days a week you can go. And you don't have to go pay $10 and drive all the way down to Philly. They're in other suburbs or other places you can go, maybe easier to drive to. Was a nice thing when they were at Lehigh, for me anyway, and for probably for a lot of people up in the Lehigh Valley or even, a little farther north or west. But that's not the case anymore. But it was nice. Jordan Davis, watching him, he's just a monster. I brought my family with, and they even pointed out, and they're not even really football fans. They even pointed out how giant he was compared to not just the people that had the water or the ball boys and all that stuff, but other Philadelphia Eagles. Just a huge guy. Jalen Hurts. I would say that my summary of the public practice was, it was fun. I always love going to the link. I love walking around. It's exciting because, football's starting, but there wasn't anything real meaningful that happened, I didn't think. And they spent a decent amount of time on special teams, which nobody really pays attention to. What's going on, AK Eagles podcast? I hope you're doing well as well. So nothing exciting happened. There were 2 plays that everybody really enjoyed. One, which I thought was the most exciting, was A.J. Brown ran to the right of the end zone in a deep route, covered by James Bradberry, and Jalen Hurts put a perfectly placed ball where A.J. Brown could dive for it, and Bradberry Bradberry had excellent coverage, but it was a very well placed ball by Jalen Hurts. That was exciting. And then Jalen Hurts also had a pretty good move on Brandon Graham. Playing at his right foot, went left, similar to the play he had against the Saints. Brandon Graham basically almost broke his ankles and just kind of gave up because he couldn't catch up. Nice to see that kind of athleticism and move, but let's be honest. Well, personally, I don't want Jalen Hurts to run so very much, because maybe he doesn't get hurt, but odds of him getting hurt increase significantly when he runs. So I want him to stay in the pocket. I want him to throw the ball. I'm glad he's athletic, and I'm hopeful he's using that athleticism when he needs to, but I hope that he leans on his arm significantly more. All right, what do we got here? Jock Talk. What's up, Jock Talk? How you doing, man? Anybody have any comments or anything you want to talk about? Post them, and we'll talk about them live on air here. You too, Instagram. I keep looking just in case. If you have anything you want to say or anything you want to talk about, put it up. All right, TJ Edwards has been apparently very impressive, according to the people I'm reading, especially with pass coverage, which, let's be honest, is one of our huge weaknesses. Well, I appreciate you watching on YouTube. Good to have you. So TJ Edwards impressing with his pass coverage, routinely diving the breakup passes. So he's having a good camp. Running back coach Jamal Singleton was recently interviewed and stated that you need a big body at running back, and I agree with him 100%. But he doesn't feel like that has to come from a guy that's 240 pounds. He said that perhaps a smaller guy can. Talking about Noah Ellis, I don't think so. I think he's been. I haven't heard his name as being a standout. So I don't know that he's moved up any real significantly on the depth chart. Noah Ellis. But so Jamal Singleton, essentially, to get down to it, is happy with the three running backs we have now. He loves the three running backs we have now. So he's not doesn't feel like we're losing anything by not having that big back. Noah Tongi, I have heard about him. I have heard about Noah Tongi, and yes, I think he's doing pretty well. As far as the depth chart, I have no idea. I'm actually gonna. I typically wait for my depth chart. What do you call it? My depth chart estimate, not estimate. Guesses. It's a little bit later. Yep. Noah Tongi, the tight end. Frankly, I would say that we are short on that position, so he's probably going to make the team. Richard Rodgers is great to have. He's had some experience with the Eagles and he's had some success. But between him and Dallas Goedert, we're a little bit light. I agree. That's Ivan. We don't like the same team, but we definitely hate the same team. All right, and last, if you plan on watching the preseason game. Kennedy Brooks, Kennedy Brooks had a couple of decent runs in training camp on Sunday. I've heard decent things about him too. However, it's I have a hard time checking out running backs in training camp because the Eagles aren't even hitting to the tackling to the ground, right? So running backs are really. I mean, Miles Sanders had a couple of runs that looked like they were touchdowns in practice. There was a lot of long runs where people were untouched, and it's really hard to tell if that would have happened when you're talking about going against a live team that's actually trying to stop you. So he looks good. I didn't think he looked very fast either, Kennedy Brooks. He didn't look like he was that quick, but he is moving up. I've heard good things about him, and I think he is moving up. I've heard a lot of good things about Britton Covey as well. I've heard that he's doing well in camp too. Let's see. I agree. AK Eagles podcast. I think you're right, and that's something that they're practicing more on. It was a common, I don't know if you want to call it problem or deficit we had last year, that Hurts wouldn't go over the middle, right? Wouldn't throw the ball over the middle. They're doing a lot more of that. And with A.J. Brown, that big physical receiver that can get open, I think we're going to do a lot. And I think there's going to be a lot more high percentage passes as well. I agree. And I think that'd be a good strategy. With Jalen Hurts, not being spectacular last year and everything, I think giving him those high percentage passes would help with his confidence, which we need. All right. So lastly here for some more last Eagles news. Preseason game again this Friday. According to Sirianni, the starters are expected to play 1 or 2 series. Now that probably is likely now that Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata are practicing. They had concussions, and they were limited in practice yesterday. Didn't practice the day before, but are practicing today. So that's good news. And that I'm sure Sirianni is more comfortable with the better protection. That's an excellent stat. Marina Sands. 70% of all passes in the NFL travel less than 7 yards. That makes sense, and it is, if you follow the evolution of the NFL, they used to be much longer passes, more like Hail Marys, but that's what the West Coast offense brought to the NFL was short, high percentage passes to replace a portion of the run game. So that makes sense. Yeah, you got to remember too. A lot of the quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, it's much harder to make a deep throw. It's much harder to get open deep, right? You cross over the middle, and you can see more pockets. So, good stat. All right, let's talk about some roster moves. Tight end Jaden Graham was placed on IR. I mentioned that they're light on that position. We signed tackle Jared Williams, who was with the team earlier this summer. And we signed running back DeAndre Torrey. A little bit of injury updates. Devontae is out with a groin injury. I would pick neither. I want to beat both of you guys. However, if it was down to you guys or the Cowgirls, the Giants or the Cowgirls going to the playoffs or whatever, I would definitely pick the Giants. Now, Devontae Smith is not practicing because he has a groin injury. Now, it's not. I don't believe it's anything serious. According to the coaches, it is just a little bit of wear and tear. They're saying they're doing a lot of running in camp, and Devontae Smith is doing more running than average, which is nice to hear. It's good to see that he's pushing himself. Yeah, right. Was it George Walsh? Man, what was the coach at that time? He's the one that he brought in, the Steve Walsh. Can't remember his name. See, I told you my memory's horrible. But he brought in the West Coast offense, and that's what made Steve Young and to a degree Joe Montana as excellent as they were because of the high percentage medium to short passes. Right, excellent. Grant Calcaterra, who is another tight end who's been doing well, has a hamstring injury. Andre Dillard and Jordan Mailata did have concussions, but they're practicing today. Boston Scott has a concussion. Bill Walsh. Yeah. Thank you, Jock Talk. Bill Walsh, yeah. Jason Kelsey, he has an elbow injury. He is having a routine clean out and should be ready for regular season week 1. It is apparently the best thing for him, and it shouldn't be significant. LaRaven Clark has a hamstring issue. Kenneth Gainwell has a hip injury, and John Hightower has a groin. So none of these are real significant, right? Hamstrings go all the time. If it's nothing severe, it's something that can be healed within a few weeks. Groins are common, same thing. I don't know about Kenneth Gainwell's hips. Hopefully that's not serious. All right, let's get to some NFL news. So roster cuts, right? A few years ago, we used to have roster cuts all on after the 4th preseason game when we had four preseason games, but they've tiered them now. I think it's a good idea, and I'd rather them tier them more. August 17th, after the end of the first preseason weekend, they cut from 90 to 85. August 23rd, after the second preseason weekend, cut from 85 to 80. August 30th, after the third preseason weekend, they cut from 80 to 53. I wish they would cut more. I mean, think about it. If we're light at a position and some other team is stacked and they cut somebody who has potential, it's better to get them out there earlier to get them on the team and practice to see what they look like than later. Oh, well. Let's see. I have a correction. I mentioned last week the most valuable teams in the NFL. Eagles were 9th at $4.7 billion, Washington 8th at $4.78. Giants 4th at 5.73, and the Cowgirls were 1st, $7.64 billion. I thought that I misspoke and said that soccer teams were valued more, and that was incorrect. The Cowgirls are the most valuable sports franchise in the world. What I had mixed the stats with is viewership, and frankly, it's not apples to apples. When you look up the most viewed sporting events. That's the key events in the world. World Cup of Soccer is, I don't know if it's first. I think there was another, something else that was higher. Had 3.3 billion viewers, right? However, the World Cup of Soccer is not just one game. So I couldn't find, and if anybody knows this, I couldn't find the single most watched sporting event. Typically it's always the Super Bowl with 112 million viewers. So that's what I got misunderstood, or I confused myself. I spoke incorrectly about the Cowboys are the most valuable sports team in the world, but football is not the most watched sport. Soccer has it beat. But again, I didn't get single games. Maybe that's how I should search it, right? Single game viewership. Anyway, the NFL has a new emphasis for officiating this year. Illegal contact is what they want to emphasize. Illegal contact is when a defender. Gotcha. Yeah, he was on the Colts. Well, that makes sense why he's back, right? Some experience with Nick Sirianni. So they're focusing on illegal contact, which illegal contact is essentially when a defender maintains contact with the receiver be 5 yards. So you can push somebody off the line. If you want to jam them, you can absolutely. You can jam them as hard as you want. You can knock them down if you want to. Now, good receivers will avoid your jam or recover from it. But once you hit that 5 yard line, you can't touch them, right? Illegal contact. The NFL typically averages, at least from 2004 until now, was around 97 illegal contact per year. Last year, it dropped to 36. So I guess the assumption is that it was still happening and they just weren't calling it. This is not the first time they've emphasized illegal contact. They did this back in 2014. And back in 2014, they increased from 52 in 2013 to 148. So expect a lot of flags on the field for illegal contact this year. I tried to look at a history of the things that they've typically emphasized, the referees. I couldn't really find a long list. Last year, remember, it was taunting, right? It was a big deal about taunting. Another thing that the officials are going to keep an eye on is quarterback contact with the quarterback, roughing the passer fouls. They're stating that the contact has to be significant if it's to the head or below the knees. So a glance of your head or a smack of somebody's head is no longer roughing the passer. And this is on purpose, Jock Talk. I mean, maybe you're a defense, maybe you love defense, but of course the NFL is going to make it more difficult on the defense and easier on the offense because everybody loves huge offensive games. Everybody loves the teams that keep playing, keep scoring back and forth. Only real, I don't want to insult anybody here, but only genuine, football fans enjoy defensive battles, can value. I mean, look at the Super Bowl when it was 13-6 when the Rams played the Patriots. Everybody said it was the most boring Super Bowl in history, right? Because it was all defense. I think it's exciting to watch two defenses slow down offenses, but that's not the general consensus for the majority of fans. So, of course, the NFL is going to highlight what they think sells the most tickets, right? What do we got here for Tom Brady? If you're 5 yards away, they call it. Yeah. There. I mean, we could talk about some of the inadequacies or things like that, but I don't want to get into. I'm not a big fan of suggesting there's collusion between players and officiating and things like that, because I think it kind of detracts from the from the game. I'd like to think that everybody's trying their hardest, that everybody's trying to win. The officials are genuinely trying to call the game as unbiased as possible, because I don't want to. I'd rather not live in a world where things are perhaps fixed. Okay, let's get to the bald eagle fact. Now, if you're a routine watcher, this might be a repeat for you, but I thought it was worth repeating. It's been a while, but the bald eagle fact today. And by the way, the bald eagle fact, one of my favorite parts of the show. What I do is I recap. I look back to Eagles history, right? And I'll talk about things like I've talked about every year they've been in the NFL. I don't know what year we're up to, but I started in 1933 when they began. I talk about some of the players that lead the team in receptions, that lead the team in any other category, passing, whatever. We went over Donovan McNabb for a lot of the passing records, Eagles passing records. We talk about the NFL draft and who we drafted each year. So it's interesting. Anyway, for me, it's interesting. What do you call me? I'm the bald eagle. What do I call you? I'm not sure if I understand the question. I'm the bald eagle. That's what I'm called right here, the Bald Eagle Podcast. Okay, so the bald eagle fact: the Eagles' 14th head coach was Dick Vermeil, and I'm talking about Dick Vermeil because, of course, he was nominated and inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago. So Dick Vermeil began his coaching career in 1960 at Hillsdale High School. He moved to coaching Napa Junior College in 1964. Thanks, Jock Talk. Thanks for listening and commenting. After Napa Junior College, he coached UCLA from 1974 to 1975, where he led the team to victory in the 1976 Rose Bowl, where they defeated the previously undefeated Ohio State Buckeyes 23-10. In 1976, he was named the head coach, the 14th head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Now, prior to him being a coach, the Eagles had not qualified for the postseason, won a playoff game, or clinched the division title since 1960. We were a shitty team for a while. The year before he was hired, so 1975, our record was 4-10. You're only as old as you feel, Jock Talk. Only old as you feel, right? Due to previous trades by the Eagles, Dick Vermeil didn't have a first-round draft pick until 1979. High school when the Eagles, so you were in high school in 1980, so your ass is old. That's not that bad. You're not that old, right? I don't want to do the math here, but I mean, what are you? You're like 60. That's not that bad, right? So you know about Dick Vermeil, right? You were in high school when they went to the Super Bowl, so you know about his whole. You probably remember his whole coaching career with the Eagles. So he didn't have a draft pick until 1979. The first two seasons, the Eagles lost. They had losing seasons, but in 1978, for the first time in 18 years, they made the playoffs under Dick Vermeil. The 1978 season featured breakout years by Ron Jaworski, Jaws, Wilbert Montgomery, and featured one of the greatest games in Eagles history. And the 23rd out of the NFL's 100 greatest plays, The Miracle at the Meadowlands, Part 1. There's a Part 2 for all you that might not be aware. So Miracle at Meadowlands, the Eagles were playing, of course, in the Meadowlands, right, against the Giants. The Giants were leading 17-12. There were, I don't know how many seconds left in the fourth quarter, but only a few. Giants had the ball. The Eagles were out of timeouts. Instead of kneeling and letting time expire, New York Giants quarterback Joe Pisarcik took the snap, attempted to hand the ball off to Larry Zonka. Pisarcik lost control of the ball. It bounced off the turf into the arms of Eagles defensive back Herm Edwards. Right? How many people knew that Herm Edwards was one of our corners at one point? Herm Edwards returned the fumble 26 yards for the winning touchdown. The Eagles ended up winning the game 19-17. They made the playoffs. The Giants were eliminated from the playoffs. They would have won they would have gone to the playoffs had they won the game. It was the beginning of what's now called the victory formation, where the quarterbacks kneel while time expires to win the game. Yeah, I'll be honest, I miss Jim Johnson too. I miss him a lot. Although his, I didn't think he would do well. The guy in, I'm telling you, my memory's horrible. The head coach for the Bills, I didn't think he would be very good, but he did well. Is doing well. In 1979, Dick Vermeil led the Eagles to 11-5 record. They won their first playoff game since 1960, 27-17 in the wild card round against the Chicago Bears. They lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the divisional round, 24-17. In 1980, Dick Vermeil led the Eagles to a 12-4 record. They won the NFC East for the first time since the NFC East was formed, which was 20 years earlier in 1960. They beat Minnesota in the divisional round, 31-16. They beat Dallas. Best way to get into the Super Bowl. Beat Dallas in the NFC Championship, 20-7. But they lost Super Bowl 15. Jock Talk was in high school back then, to the Oakland Raiders, 27-10. In 1981, the Eagles were 10-6, second in the NFC East, but they were eliminated in the wild card rounds of the playoffs with a 27-21 loss to the Giants. In 1982, he led the Eagles to a 3-6 record. 3-6 because a player strike shortened the season to 9 games. And after that season, he retired for the first time. That was January 10th, 1983, due to occupational burnout. 15 years away from the game, Dick Vermeil was. And then he came back to coach the St. Louis Rams. He coached 3 years for the Rams from 1997 to 1999. Right? Yeah, John Harbaugh was our special teams coach. Yeah, and went straight to coaching the Ravens. He went from special teams coach to the head coach of the Ravens. Happy birthday. Wait, your birthday? When's your birthday, Ivan? Okay, January 10th, right. So he went to the Rams, coached the Rams for 3 years, 1997 to 1999. Overall, he didn't have a great record, 22-26. However, in 1999, the Rams went 13-3 and eventually won Super Bowl 34 against Tennessee. He took them to their first playoff appearance since 1989, first division title since 1985. First NFL championship since 1951. First, the St. Louis Rams were the first dome team to win a Super Bowl. It was the first time the Rams were undefeated at home since 1973. In 1999, they led the NFL in total yards with 400.8 yards per game. They led the NFL in passing yards with 272.1. They led the NFL in scoring, 32.9 points a game. Their rushing defense was first, only allowing 74.3 yards per game. And they tied Jacksonville with the NFL lead in sacks. He retired a second time, Dick Vermeil did, after winning the Super Bowl. In 2001, 2 years later, he was hired as the head coach of the Chiefs. In 5 years, he was 44-36, had the NFL's top-ranked offense 3 years in a row, and went to the playoffs, I think, twice, 2 years in a row. Now, one of the years that he had the top offense, they actually had a losing record. I think it was 6-10, and that's because their defense was horrible, 31st, I believe, in the league. So his coaching career, 120 wins, 109 losses. His postseason career is 6-5. He appeared in the Super Bowl twice and won one. One of, I don't know how many total coaches have been to the Super Bowl with more than one team. I think there's five coaches that have taken two teams to the Super Bowl. There's never been a coach to win two Super Bowls with two different teams. I know Parcells, right? Andy Reid, Vermeil. Help me out here. Did Coughlin go? Did he go to the Super Bowl with? Did Coughlin go to the Super Bowl with two teams? Anyway, I think there's about five coaches that did that. He was the 1999 Associated Press NFL Coach of the Year. It was a two-time Pro Football Weekly NFL Coach of the Year. I don't remember when the Eagles training camp was at Albright College. I mentioned for the Bald Eagle Fact, we go over the years that the Eagles played. And I know it was at Westchester for a while. It was at, but I don't remember Albright. I haven't made it to Albright yet. Let's see. Did Dick Vermeil lose to the Patriots in a Super Bowl? No. He went to two Super Bowls. He lost to the Raiders with the Eagles, and he won against the Titans with the Rams. He didn't go to another Super Bowl. So he was a two-time Pro Football Weekly NFL Coach of the Year in 1979 and 1999, two-time Maxwell Club NFL Coach of the Year in 99 and 2003. He was the UPI NFC Coach of the Year in 1978, Pacific 8 Coach of the Year in 1975. He's in the Philadelphia Eagles Hall of Fame. He is in the St. Louis Football Ring of Honor, which is, I guess, I don't even know if that exists anymore. I don't think they brought that to L.A., and he was, of course, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year. All right, that does it. That is the Bald Eagle Fact. And I am the Bald Eagle now. I mentioned a couple of our partners, so do me a favor. Number one, follow me on everything you're on, right? If you're on Twitch, if you're on Twitter, if you're on, I'm not on TikTok or Snapchat, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on YouTube, anywhere you find the Bald Eagle. Now, if you're looking for me, you have to look up the Bald Eagle podcast. I'm not popular enough yet to just go under Bald Eagle. If you type in Bald Eagle, you're going to get a lot of actual Bald Eagles, right? So watch me. I'm always on Wednesdays at 6:00. I'm always on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And then we also stream. One of the nice things is we have a couple of partners that we stream with. The Painted Lines is a great sports series. We stream to their YouTube. Six Packs Coverage, which is a media company in Tennessee. They have podcasts about everything, not just sports, but they have sports, fitness, travel, food, finance, even entertainment. They look at movies and they tell you how good movies are. So check out Six Pack Coverage. Now, Philly Sports Alliance. I'm going to bring up our. It's awesome that you're listening all the way from California. Thank you. Okay, let me bring up something here. We have a couple of shows here on Philly Sports Alliance, and it'd be great if you check them all out. So on Mondays at 6, we have the Football Smack Talk show, and that's with Ryan Reese and Eric Ward. Football Smack Talk, they talk about all things football, not just Eagles, all the NFL, right? Mondays at 7:30 is a Diamond Club podcast. That is an all Phillies podcast featuring John Hunter, Chris Lahiff, and Danny Hart. Tuesdays at 6:30 is the Philly Broadcast. That's a four Philly sports. For Philly sports. They talk about all the Philadelphia sports, right? All four major sports. And that's with Ryan Reese and Ryan Finneran. Wednesdays at 6, you better be watching or listening to the Bald Eagle podcast so you're up to date on all things Philadelphia Eagles. Wednesdays at 8 after my podcast is Mike Sports. It's a football podcast featuring Eric Ward and Jay Landry. Jay Landry is a Dallas Cowgirls fan, but we forgive him for that. Thank you, Jock. Thanks for listening. Thursdays at 5:30. Tendies on Pattison. It's an all-Flyers show featuring Paul Bacho, Jack Griffin, and Chris Lahiff. And last but not least, Thursdays at 7 o'clock, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. That is a wrestling show featuring Eric Ward and Mike Rouse. All right, that is it. Go check out all my socials, like, follow, comment. Go to all of Philly Sports Alliance's socials, like, comment, follow, share, do all that stuff. Follow all those shows. Go to check out stuff on Six Pack Coverage. Go to the Painted Lions, check them out. Go to La Terrain, buy a bunch of watches. And last but not least, go to phillysportstrips.com. Sign up for the trip to watch Washington Week 3 and have a great time. In conclusion, go Birds.